Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and in today's video we're going to take a look at a new 4K release, Ad Astra from 20th Century Fox. So guys, thanks for coming back to the channel. Thank you for watching this video. If you are interested in Blu-ray, 4K, home theater reviews, Blu-ray collecting, physical media, all that good stuff, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it, and turn on notifications. And also, let's see if we can get this video to up over 1,000 likes. Now, we're gonna take a look at Ad Astra. This just came to me courtesy of 20th Century Fox and Disney. As you can see, it has the Disney packaging. It's got the Ultimate Collector's Edition that they do with the Disney Pixar movies. They have fully pulled the 20th Century Fox stuff into the Disney marketing team, and they're doing everything very much like Disney. But this is a movie based on a book starring Brad Pitt, Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland's in this, and it's a really large-scale sci-fi epic. A lot of people compared it to stuff like Interstellar, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's that type of movie. So what we're going to do is we're not going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about this 4K presentation and what you're getting on the disc and whether it's worth an upgrade to go to the 4K over getting the standard Blu-ray. We'll also talk about the audio, packaging, and some of the special features. So stay tuned for all of that. Now, you notice throughout this video that there are a few different cuts, and that's because I had to go back and actually redo this video because IMDb gave me really bad information saying that this was only a 2K DI. And I was looking at it, and you know, there's some soft moments and there's stuff I'll talk about, but I was like, this looks a little bit cleaner than a 2K. So I actually reached out to somebody on Instagram who I talked to, who actually worked on this release. I'm not going to give his name or anything, but he worked on this release for Fox and worked on the 4K transfer, and he told me, no, this is a true 4K release. Even with the CGI, there's a lot of practical effects as well, and it was shot on 35mm, regardless of the different CGI elements within that were added in post-production. So this is a true 4K DI, and I just want to make that very clear off the start because there's some misleading information out there on sites like IMDb. Now, this is a very dark movie. I'm going to play some scenes through here as I talk, but a lot of this movie is very dark and it has sort of a grayish blue tint to it, and so HDR is really important. I noticed that while comparing this to the Blu-ray that a lot of these darker scenes are very, very hard to make out. You can see one here where Brad Pitt's character is climbing through, you know, kind of a cockpit, climbing through a shuttle, and it's almost hard to make anything out, and that's the 4K with HDR. Granted, it's on a projector, so black levels are a little bit lower than on, say, an OLED TV or even just a regular 4K LED TV, but it's still going to be hard to make out, and so the HDR is very helpful with that. HDR is also really helpful in a few scenes where there are some explosions, there is some action, and there are very bright red, orange surfaces of planets and different you know, items like that are very strikingly red or orange. But a lot of this movie is pretty gray, blue, and green. There's a few scenes where the red and orange is really popping. Not a whole lot of the yellows. Not, you know, it's kind of an interesting color scheme, and it definitely looks like a tint was put on the image in post-production because it has a very, very bluish green tint to most of the movie. Now, visually, some of the things I noticed was that this is definitely not the strongest 4K transfer I've seen. There are some moments in here where the CGI was particularly soft or even like a little bit out of focus. I have a picture of it here. Don't know if you can tell from that, but the towers here were like out of focus on the background and very, very soft. It almost looked kind of cheesy, which is distracting when you're watching it. It probably looks better on the Blu-ray just because it's a 1080p source. It's not trying to do too much with the CGI. One of the interesting things about this visual is that it was shot on 35mm for a large portion of the movie. Most of the scenes where they really need to show off the like blackness of space and the emptiness of it and that whole backdrop, the cinematographer, there's a whole article out there where he talks about it, and it's the same guy who worked on Interstellar, so he knows his stuff. He needed to find basically this special version of 35mm that he's worked with. He worked with it on Interstellar, I guess, and he uses that to shoot a lot of the scenes, and so there's a heavy grain structure like film, as it should be. There are definitely some scenes in here that are strikingly beautiful. There's some really good stuff. Great uses of HDR, especially towards the kind of mid-second to third act. There's a lot of really nice scenes where you do get like that full like wow factor, but a lot of this is kind of grainy and a little bit soft in some places, and so I wouldn't rate it as one of the best 4K transfers I've seen. I think this transfer is very authentic to what the movie was trying to do. And so, you know, it may be distracting for you. I was expecting a very clean digital image, not any grain, very sharp line, just a kind of interesting visual. Now for audio, on the 4K disc, you are getting a Dolby Atmos track, which was very good. This is exactly the type of movie that you want Atmos on. There's a ton of stuff going on all around you. You're literally in space. Now, they're also a little bit faithful to the fact that there is no sound in space. So a lot of what you're hearing is going to be this crazy score, which is really well done. The music is really cool. It gives it this epic scale. But the action moments that you do get to hear are very well done. Dialogue was clear throughout, and it makes a full use of the Atmos system. You're literally playing with the soundscape of space in this huge, massive kind of arena to use your sound and kind of hit all those highs, lows, sides. And so the Atmos track is really important for that and did a very nice job. Bass was also pretty heavy. My subwoofer was getting a workout on this one, mostly due to the score. There's a lot of kind of low bass tones and kind of deep, like almost Christopher Nolan type like booms throughout the score. So that was kind of cool. Now the thing, in typical Disney fashion, they don't put the Atmos track on the Blu-ray. So if you buy the Blu-ray, of course the Atmos track could go on there, but they are trying to, you know, make people buy the 4K when it may not necessarily be what they need. And so if you buy the Blu-ray, you are missing out on the Atmos track. You're getting a 7.1 DTS HD. On the 4K, you're getting the Atmos. Now for packaging, this is pretty standard stuff. Like I said, you've definitely got the Disney packaging, Ultimate Collector's Edition, all over the place. Then on the inside, there's a digital code, and there's the Blu-ray and 4K disc. The 4K disc has some nice artwork on it. Blu-ray disc, not so much. And the cover art is, you know, pretty basic. It's basically what they were using for all the promotional items, posters, all that stuff. Now for special features, these are all on the Blu-ray disc. You've got, there are deleted scenes with commentary by James Gray. There's a featurette called To the Stars, A Man Named Roy, The Crew of the Cepheus, The Art of Ad Astra, which is really cool, Reach for the Stars, and then a full audio commentary by James Gray. So there are some decent extras. I wouldn't say it's over the top, but there is some cool stuff. And then actually on the digital code, there's an exclusive digital bonus offer. If you redeem the digital code, you get another feature called Space Age, the VFX visual effects, and so it shows from initial footage to final shots, follow the visual effects breakdowns of the most exhilarating scenes from the movie. So that's kind of funny. They only include that on digital, and you're not getting that special feature on physical, which kind of sucks, especially when, you know, this is a digital code that's coming with the physical copy. So you'd think that people that are getting this, you know, they're obviously going to watch the physical copy and maybe use the digital code as a backup. They're not going to want to watch the feature on digital and watch the movie on 4K. It's confusing. This makes sense if you were buying it from like Amazon or Vudu or whatever, and you were just straight buying digital, but it's an odd move to put that on the digital code, in my opinion. So overall, with this release being a true 4K DI, I do think that it is worth the upgrade to go to the 4K from a visual standpoint. I would give the 4K like a 4 out of 5 on this. I think I'm being a little harsh because I came into this expecting like Interstellar, and I think Interstellar is just such a masterclass in like filmmaking and cinematography and 4K transfer. I was expecting like that in 2001: A Space Odyssey, and so I think my expectations were a little high, but it is a good 4K release. It just had some minor issues, at least from what I saw, with softness on some of the CGI elements being kind of overlaid on top of 35mm. But another point to get the 4K is to get that Atmos track. If you're an audio fan and you want Atmos surround, you're only getting that in the 4K. So this being a real 4K title with an Atmos track that's only available in the 4K makes perfect sense to upgrade. I would go with that. I'll leave a link to that down in the description where you can purchase it on Amazon, and that helps support the channel. But thank you again to 20th Century Fox and everybody for sending this. I really appreciated reviewing this. I appreciate the you know who you are, who I talked to on Instagram. I don't want to give away your name because you'll get bombarded with messages, but I appreciate you giving me some insight on this release and really helping with some bad information that's out there. The studios don't oftentimes give us enough information on the transfer. They just tell us, well, it's a 4K disc and it has HDR10 or it has Dolby Vision. But how is it shot? How is it finished? Like, there are things that matter that you don't really get in the press releases, and sometimes like this, very soon after release, before there's a ton of tech information out there, you can get bad info from IMDb apparently that it's 2K DI, or you get no info at all and you're almost taking a guess as to how this was finished. So it's not ideal, but I appreciate him helping me out with this review. So sorry this one's a little choppy, but it is what it is. I had to cut up some pieces and reshoot different parts because I learned more about the release from this person, so he was super helpful. So thanks to 20th Century Fox and Disney for sending this one out. I was excited to check it out. Sorry it's a little bit late. It's the day after release day, but you know, sometimes life gets in the way. But it is a fun movie. I thought it's really cool. So if you just want my quick thoughts on that, it was a really cool movie. I love this kind of space, sci-fi, futurism type stuff, and so I really enjoyed that. So thank you for watching this. Hopefully this was helpful, informative. I'm not trying to be too negative on this one. I think it's still a nice presentation, but it has its issues, it has its flaws, and that's unfortunate. But I'll leave a link to purchase this from Amazon down in the description. If you click through that link, you help support my channel. Also leave links to all kinds of different stuff. Follow me on Instagram, links to my swag store, PayPal account, and all the different items that are in my home theater, like projector screen, which I just did a video on, so go check that out. Even seating and audio equipment as well, all kinds of stuff in the description. Remember to subscribe, turn on those notifications. Like I said, let's get this video to over 1,000 likes. That'd be super cool. And I'm probably gonna take a little break here. We're on the 18th right now. I'll get a couple more videos in before Christmas, and then probably be taking a break for a little bit to work on some stuff in this room and clean things up and actually do some collection sorting that I talked about a long time ago. I'm gonna finally get to that Christmas week. So videos might be a little slow between Christmas and New Year's. Apologies for that, but there'll be a really cool video after New Year's if everything goes the way I want it to. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll be back soon with more videos.